Good morning, everyone. I'm Emily Akhtarzandi, Managing Director of AtlanticLIVE, and welcome to The Next Drugs, an Atlantic policy briefing on biosimilars. While not a commonly known pharmaceutical term, the worldwide market for biosimilars is enormous, estimated to hit $25 to $30 billion in the next 4 years. The Food and Drug Administration defines a biosimilar as a drug that is, quote, highly similar to an FDA-approved biological product and has no clinical meaningful differences in terms of safety and effectiveness from the reference product. Switching to these drugs from the biologic therapies they are modeled off of has the potential to save our health system tens of billions of dollars. And many issues need to be resolved, including physician and patient education and the FDA approval pathway for these copies of biological pharmaceuticals. We're here today to examine the biosimilar marketplace and the future of their approval pathway in the United States. And we'll hear from leaders in Congress, manufacturers, and patient advocates who are all experts in the field. But first, I'd like to thank the Biosimilars Council, a division of the Generic Pharmaceutical Association, for their support in making today's event possible. And with that, please welcome Christine Simmon, Executive Director of the Biosimilars Council and Senior Vice President of Policy and Strategic Alliances at the Generic Pharmaceutical Association, to say a few words. Christine.
Hi, good morning. And thanks so much, Emily, for having us here. Thank you all for being here today, especially those of you coming from uptown who had to dodge the sinkhole that's directly outside our office up by the Verizon Center. Anyway, we're sure that today is going to be a wonderful, thoughtful, and engaging dialogue. We have some outstanding, very impressive guest speakers, so we're very fortunate to have that. And on behalf of the Biosimilars Council and our members, several of whom are here today, we're very thrilled to be underwriting this event. It's very important and timely. There's a lot to learn about the nascent biosimilar market and a lot of questions impacting its development. For those of you whom we haven't yet met, the Biosimilars Council, as Emily mentioned, is a division of the Generic Pharmaceutical Association. So we've been in this space for a long time, even prior to establishing the Biosimilars Council, and our objective is to support the development of a robust biosimilars market and educate. If real estate is all about location, I think the Biosimilars Council and this whole space is all about education. So we want to make sure that we're communicating and working with policymakers, patients, providers, other stakeholders about how biosimilars can increase patient access to some wonderful treatments, safe, effective, affordable medicines. Our member organizations include manufacturers of biosimilars and many stakeholder organizations working to develop the products with an intent to compete in the U.S. market. We want to make sure there's a positive environment for the uptake and utilization of these products. And, why? Well, obviously because we want patients to have access to critical medicines, and also because we need to do this in a way that's sustainable. And right now, many of the reference products for which there will be biosimilars are at this point very costly. And the entire specialty drug space has spending climbing at a very unsustainable rate. By every account, competition from biosimilars will save patients, insurers, and the government billions of dollars each year in treatment costs. The estimates are kind of varied because we haven't had a ton of experience in the United States as yet, but there are those estimates that are as high as $250 billion over the first 10 years when there's enough biosimilars on the market, and maybe starting at $44 billion. So it's a wide range, 44 to 250, and we want to make sure we're at the higher end. Even the stakeholders who are the developers of the reference biologics recognize the value of competition in reducing healthcare costs for these patients. So while there's significant opportunity and potential to drive competition in the marketplace, there are also significant challenges facing the emerging industry that bear closer examination, and so we'll have the opportunity to explore some of these today. But I'll just touch on a few. I think you all know there are many outstanding FDA guidances for industry on some critical issues like naming and interchangeability and extrapolation. There's ongoing legal questions. The Supreme Court currently has two cert petitions that will help interpret the pathway, and these decisions have the potential to have a really significant impact on how biosimilar applicants go through the application as well as the intellectual property litigation process, which is really part and parcel of getting these products to the market. Additionally, CMS up in Baltimore, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, are still sorting out reimbursement for these products, and right now their approach has been anything but consistent. So we need to make sure that these products have a predictable and understandable reimbursement structure, because that's a very important incentive for future competitors to come to market. We're also still waiting from a manufacturer perspective to see what kind of strategies payers employ to incentivize biosimilar uptake, particularly in the pharmacy benefit. And we will need to adapt launch strategies accordingly. So there's a lot of variables, and we understand that this is not a conversation that can happen in silos. It's really critical that all the stakeholders are at the table so that we can actively participate in unpacking these complex issues. This is why the Council is very proud to help foster this much-needed dialogue among stakeholders. The audience, both the audience and the guests today, represent a very diverse cross-section of interests, patient, provider, and consumer groups, policymakers and regulatory experts, and manufacturers and the broader supply chain. So just to close and get right to the heart of the program, I just want to reiterate how important it is that we work together to identify common areas of interest for collaboration and facilitate greater engagement from everyone who may benefit from the potential of biosimilars, which is so tremendous and will be so meaningful to so many. Again, just to note that we are really happy to have you all here. We hope this is a great educational opportunity, and we look forward to maintaining this dialogue with you as we all continue to navigate this market. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. And before we get going, a few housekeeping notes. If everyone could silence your cell phones, but keep them out to tweet using the hashtag ATLPoliticsPolicy. That is ATLPoliticsPolicy, all one word. And we want to hear from you in the room as well. So we'll have time for questions this morning, so keep them in mind, and we'll get to you as many as possible after each of the panel segments. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our first conversation. Senator Bill Cassidy is a doctor from Louisiana. He's a Republican and a member of the Senate's Health, Education, Labor, and Pension Committee, and he's here this morning with journalist and AtlanticLIVE contributor Joey Chen. The floor is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.